All right, let's dive right in. We're going to explore this really incredible connection between ancient spiritual practices and cutting-edge neuroscience. We're talking about desire, dopamine, and discipline, all through the lens of fasting. You know, it feels like the world today is built to make you do one thing: consume instantly. Just think about it. Every notification, every ad, every scroll on your feed, it's all designed to get you to click, to buy, to react right now. It's this endless cycle of want, get, repeat. So, to fight back against all this noise, a new trend has totally blown up. You've probably heard of it, the dopamine detox. The idea is if you just stop doing all the fun stuff for a while, you can basically hit a reset button on your brain, right? Reclaim your focus, find joy in the little things again. But is that really how it works? What's the science behind it? Okay, let's break down what's actually going on inside our heads, because that whole dopamine detox idea, it's kind of built on a massive misunderstanding. So here's the thing. The name dopamine detox is super misleading. It makes you think you can just, I don't know, flush dopamine out of your system like a toxin, but that's not how your brain works at all. What people are actually doing when they do this is a well-known technique from therapy called stimulus control. It's not about getting rid of a chemical, it's about learning to manage your impulses. And let me be crystal clear here, you need dopamine. It's not a bad thing. It's an absolutely critical neurotransmitter. It's what helps you move, what keeps you motivated. Heck, it's essential for survival. So you can't get rid of it, and trust me, you would not want to. Seriously low dopamine levels are linked to really awful conditions like Parkinson's disease. Okay, so the name is totally off, but the instinct behind the trend, that's actually onto something. The real goal isn't about dopamine at all. It's about getting back in the driver's seat, mastering our impulses instead of letting them run our lives. And it just so happens, there's a really powerful ancient framework for doing exactly that. And that brings us to this ancient practice. We're going to look at the Islamic tradition of Psalm, or fasting, which is, when you get down to it, a time-tested system for mastering the self. At the very heart of this is a concept called tazkiyah al-nafs, which translates to purification of the soul. And this is way more than just, not doing bad things. It's this deep internal work. It's about actively weeding out negative traits and planting positive ones like patience and gratitude. It's really a total framework for personal growth. So, to really get this, we have to talk about the nafs. You can think of it as our lower self, our ego, that part of us that's driven by our most basic desires and impulses. The I want it now part of your brain. This is the internal battlefield where the whole struggle for self-control takes place. The whole point of this purification process is to take that nafs on a journey to elevate it. It starts out as what's called the commanding self, totally driven by impulse. But through discipline, it can level up to the self-reproaching self, where your conscience kicks in. And the final stage, the ultimate goal, is to reach the soul at rest, a state of peace, tranquility, and solid self-control. Now that all sounds really profound, right? A journey of the soul. But what is actually happening inside our brain when this is going on? Let's jump back into the science and look at the neurology behind self-control. So, like we touched on earlier, our brains get used to the constant hits of stimulation from things like junk food and social media. The reward system basically gets, bored. It becomes desensitized. And what that means is the simple things, a walk in the park, a good conversation, they just don't give us the same buzz they used to. But here's the cool part. When you intentionally step away from all that high-level stimulation, you give your brain a chance to reset its baseline. You can see it right here. After that period of abstinence, the reward you get from simple pleasures shoots way up. Suddenly, that simple meal or that quiet moment feels incredibly satisfying again. What's really happening here is basically a workout for your brain. Every single time you say no to an impulse, you're strengthening your prefrontal cortex. That's the CEO of your brain, the part that handles planning and self-control. You're literally training it to be stronger than the more impulsive part of your brain that just screams for immediate gratification. And this isn't just some neat little brain hack, you guys. This is a huge deal. The ability to delay gratification, which is exactly what we're talking about, is one of the single biggest predictors of long-term success and emotional well-being. We're talking decades of research here, from the classic marshmallow test all the way to today. So let's pull back for a second. We've got this ancient spiritual path for purifying the soul, and we've got this modern scientific model for training the brain. But when you put them next to each other, whoa. You realize they're basically talking about the exact same thing. Just look at how perfectly these line up. One tradition talks about restraining the nefs, or the lower self. Science calls it training the prefrontal cortex. One targets base desires, the other targets compulsive behaviors. The spiritual goal is a state of deep awareness and self-control called taqwa. The psychological result? Enhanced self-control and grit. It's amazing. They're two different languages describing the same powerful outcome. So you can think of it as soul fitness, or you can call it cognitive endurance training. Either way, it's the same thing. It's this practice where the spiritual and the mental become one and the same, building this incredible inner strength that makes you more resilient to all the chaos of the modern world. Which brings us to a final and I think really powerful way to look at all of this. How do we reframe the actual feeling of fasting? Okay, so what if hunger isn't a weakness? What if it's not a bad thing at all? Try thinking of it like a notification from your own body. It's a ping that says, hey, your willpower is active right now. You're in control. That feeling isn't deprivation. It's the feeling of your strength. Think about it. In a world that is screaming at you to say yes to everything, fasting is the ultimate no. It's you saying, I am in control here. That hunger you feel, it stops being about food. It becomes a hunger for something more, for the discipline that makes you an unbreakable human being. So I'll leave you with this question. In this crazy world that's literally built for distraction, could it be that this ancient discipline is actually the ultimate modern advantage?